Hi, my name is Trinidad Dela Cruz. Today I'm going to be doing my oral presentation over West Side Story. It's one of my favorite musicals, one of my favorite plays, and I'm excited to get started today. So, West Side Story essentially follows the Romeo and Juliet type trope. It's about these two rival gangs, the Sharks, who are Puerto Ricans. They come from Puerto Rico and they move to America, and they have a rival gang against the Jets, who are American born Caucasian men. So it follows the Romeo and Juliet type trope just because Tony, who is a Jet, he's a Caucasian man. His best friend is Riff, and he is the leader of the Jets. But Tony falls in love with Maria, who is a Puerto Rican woman, and her brother is the leader of the Sharks. So throughout the whole movie, the two rival gangs, they're always kind of fighting at each other. And then Tony and Maria, they're also so in love. They go back and forth. They want to be with each other. They love each other so much. So the main conflict is that the Sharks and the Jets, they essentially both agree that they're going to have this big brawl, this big fight, where whoever the last one standing is the one who wins, essentially. So what happens is that Bernardo, which is Maria's brother, the leader of the Sharks, he tries to get at Riff, Tony's best friend, who is the leader of the Jets. And in the defense of Riff, Tony comes and he kills Bernardo. So with that happening, Anita, who is Bernardo's girlfriend, Bernardo's lover, and is also Maria's best friend, she becomes extremely mournful. She's so sad that her lover, that her partner has died. And because she's so sad, she's so mournful, she tells Tony that Maria has died. So because he gets told that his lover has died, he's so sad, he's so upset, he goes to the Sharks who have been hunting him, essentially, because he killed their leader, pretty much. So he goes to the Sharks and he essentially finds out that Maria hasn't died. But in the process of finding out that Maria hasn't died, the Sharks shoot Tony. And right after they shoot Tony, he practically dies in Maria's arms. So it really follows that Romeo and Juliet type of theme. However, though, Maria doesn't die after Tony, like in the typical Juliet and Romeo books. Instead of dying, she kind of brings together the gangs, the rival gangs, and she kind of just helps them remember the people who have died in the process of these gang wars, and to kind of help them remember and come together to remember those people. So the playwright of West Side Story was Jeremy Robbins. He was originally born as Jeremy Robinowitz. He was a second generation immigrant from Poland. His family immigrated to the United States, to New Jersey. From a really young age, he started to take a like in music and theatrics. As he got older, originally he went to school for chemistry and journalism, but because the Great Depression really took a toll on his family, they were no longer able to pay for his education. So as a result of that, he dropped out and he looked for work. His family owned a corset business, but he was really adamant about not really wanting to take part in that. So he just looked for any other job he could find in theatrics or fine arts. And Eventually, he started to choreograph pieces and choreograph dances, and he did that up until the point where it became pretty regular for him to do that on a regular basis. So he essentially started to go to ballet school, and that's when things really started to go uphill for him. He started to do ensemble work, but eventually worked his way up to do solo parts and solo gigs and things like that. And his breakout role was the tragic puppet of Petrushka. And then ever since then, he started to choreograph more. This was when he started to establish himself within the industry. This was a time when musical comedies were starting to evolve and were starting to get a lot more popular than what they used to be. So, because of the breakout role and because he was so established in choreography and in directing, he became a very known figure within the theatrics community. In addition to making West Side Story, he also did The King and I, which is a pretty popular play. He also did Fiddler on the Roof and Gypsy. So the composer for West Side Story was Leonard Bernstein. He lived a pretty normal life in the earlier years of his life. In college, he decided to study music theory, and then one of those days he went to a symphony orchestra, and that's where he was really fascinated by the conductor. He was fascinated by the way that he moved, the way that he constructed things, held things together, directed the music, and just things like that. So the following day, after he had attended that symphony, the same conductor had heard Bernstein play a sonata, and the conductor was really impressed by how Bernstein had played and decided to invite Bernstein to pretty much a week of rehearsals. And then after that was when Bernstein decided that he was going to go further with music. Later on, he did training at a music institute in Philadelphia. He was invited to a music center in Tanglewood, but after that, after Tanglewood, he wasn't really able to find work. So he kind of just did odd jobs here and there in the music industry pretty much. And he started to transcribe music. And then that's when he kind of got, his lucky chance to be an assistant conductor to the New York Philharmonic. So he kind of also got a lucky shot because while there was a conductor that was going to originally conduct the orchestra, that main conductor had gotten sick. So Bernstein had filled in for him, and things really skyrocketed from there. He did pretty well. He went on to create all these fantastic scores, all these, all this wonderful music for all these plays. And that's pretty much what he did for the rest of his life. He did other things, other plays such as Peter Pan, On the Town, Wonderful Town, in addition to West Side Story. So the original date that West Side Story had opened for the first time was on September 26th, 1957. It was performed in the Winter Garden Theater in New York. So it was on Broadway for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. Its closing date was June 27th, 1959. And between that time, they had gotten over 700 performances to really show the world, their play. So, unfortunately, there are no plans to revive West Side Story on Broadway. The last that I had heard, or the last that I had seen actually, after doing some research, was that in 2020 they had actually brought back West Side Story and put it on Broadway, but not really for that long. 2020 was when COVID happened, and unfortunately, just with everything that was going on in the world, the production was not really able to keep up. And they just decided from then on that they were going to permanently just not have West Side Story on Broadway. However, though, they have come out with film adaptations. In 1961, I believe they did the original film for West Side Story. And then in 2021, within the last 5-10 years or so, they did a remake of the 1961 version. So here's just a little clip of one of my favorite songs from the original movie. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any videos of the West Side Story play just because I don't think that's necessarily allowed in the theater. But yeah, it's just one of my favorite songs. I think it's very vibrant, very energetic, and I hope you enjoy.
Once an immigrant, always an immigrant.
Hey, look, instead of a shampoo, she's been brainwashed.
Stop it!
She's given up Puerto Rico and now she's queer for Uncle Sam.
Oh, no. That's not true.
Puerto Rico, my heart's devotion. Let it sink back in the ocean. Always the hurricanes blowing, always the population growing, and the money owing, and the sunlight streaming, and the natives steaming. I like the island Manhattan.
I know you do.
Smoke on your pipe and put that in.
I like to be in America. Okay, by me in America. Everything free in America.
For a small fee in America.
Buying on credit is so nice.
One look at us and they charge twice.
I have my own washing machine.
What will you have though to keep clean?
Skyscrapers bloom in America. Cadillac zoom in America. Industry boom in America.
12 in a room in America.
Lots of new housing with more space.
Lots of doors slamming in our face.
I'll get a terrace apartment.
Better get rid of your accent.
Life can be bright in America.
If you can fight in America.
Life is alright in America.
If you're all white in America. wear devils and shine shoes. Everywhere crime in America, organized crime in America, terrible time in America.
You forget I'm in America.
I think I go back to San Juan.
I know a boat you can get on. Bye-bye.
Everyone there will give big cheer.
Everyone there will have moved here.